Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's about time I do a tier list for Season 11, so let's get right into it. If you disagree with anything, please let me know in the comments below. I've also made guides for most of the legends, at least the ones I'm comfortable with, so feel free to check them out as well. First we have up Gibraltar. Everyone knew this was going to happen and I thought I'd get this one out the way quick. Gibraltar is a super strong and deserves the S tier. There are so many good things about Gibraltar that are only made better with the new map. First up is hidden passive, taking 50% less damage. With the map being so open and new, a lot of people just run towards gunfights, which means more fighting and more escaping. Bombardment is ridiculously fun on this map. As I said, it's more open and there are a lot of areas waiting for orbital strikes. Then we have the wonderful Dome, the ability that protects his teammates from everything, abilities, bullets, you name it. But that's why I've put Gibraltar in the S tier. Bangalore is my bread and butter. People call me budget Walmart Shiv FPS. I think Bangalore's passive is great and completely underappreciated. The speed boost is incredible and makes us some awesome plays. Her ultimate can decimate enemies and confuse, panic them to make bad decisions. I think Bangalore is a great pick because of her smoke grenades. Due to the amount of choke points and line of sights, smoking the enemies, causing them to move is a great thing to do. Some people say her ultimate is worse than on other maps due to the complete largeness of the battlefields, but I think with her ultimate you can force enemies into certain situations. Bangalore is not any different than others and she still remains pretty normal and balanced, which means she isn't as fun to use as other legends, so for that I would love to put her in S tier, but she's going to be sitting pretty in the A tier. Fuse has really stepped up on this map. Due to all the rocks and hiding spots, his tactical can flush enemies out. His ultimate is okay on this map, but it's not great as other maps due to the verticality that this map has. Using an ultimate can sometimes not have the desirable results due to half of it ending up on a walkway above you. With that being said, Fuse's passive, the ability to hold multiple grenades, but also shoot them long distances, is very underrated on a map so open. So with that in mind, I'll be putting Fuse into B tier. Valkyrie is, I think, one of the strongest legends in the game right now, and only because of the map. Stormpoint has a lot of verticality, and Valkyrie being able to move between platforms with her jetpack is huge. Also take into account that the map is full of choke points, so with her ultimate, we can all escape pretty safely in Merry. Another thing is with the new maps, a lot of people just charge towards gunfire. Not many people pay attention to other teams and know where they're going to be coming from. So it's good to pick up a few kills and then get out of there with the ultimate. However, the main reason for this rank placement that I'm putting her in is because of the ability to get to high ground and higher buildings with her jet. I'm going to be putting Valk in the S tier. Revenant I feel has fallen behind in the legend tier list as of late. His passive where he can climb things is cool, but not many times do you find yourself struggling to climb something unless you're trying to rat or hide somewhere. Whilst an interesting passive, I do feel like Respawn threw it together as they had no other ideas. I still get angry being so scared of Revenant during the promo until he came out and had the aggression of a refrigerator. His death totem is cool and goes really well with Ash and Octane's abilities. However, due to the size of the map, I don't think it's as good as it was on maps like King Canyon and Olympus, purely just because of the length it takes for you to get to the fight. If you do the Revenant ultimate, then you end up having to travel a long way. So for that, I'm going to be putting Revenant in the D tier. Bloodhound has now been in the highest tiers since the scan got buffed in Season 4, and that's no different in Season 11. Even with legends like Seer and Crypto, I think Blood is still one of the best legends in the game, personally, and out of all the trackers, they are the best. The map is huge, and the ability to scan large parts of it could help you determine whether or not you should push through or fall back and to take a town over. And look, nothing is better than popping off the ultimate and running around like a headless chicken, shooting people over and over again, throwing out your scan over and over again. Their ultimate helps people, helps with seeing people on Stormpoint because it can be hard to see sometimes. The Stormpoint is a very busy map. So with the ultimate, you can really highlight the enemies. So you probably guessed it, I'm going to be putting Bloodhound in the S tier. Loba finds herself in her element in Season 11 for multiple reasons. First up, her tactical is really good for getting across the open plains safely or even flanking around POIs. Passive allows you to gravitate towards the good loot on the drops or in the towns, but her ultimate is where she shines. The map is great, but there's a lot of buildings, a lot of loot spots, different levels of buildings, but her ultimate can quickly loot an entire POI without hanging around for too long. The ability to jump off of gravity cannons with your bracelet to escape or get the high ground in this map, similar to how Valkyrie can use her jetpack, really pushes her into the higher tiers. So I wanted to put Loba in the S tier, but I'm going to be putting her very comfortably in the A tier. Now, Rampart is one of my favorite legends until I use her. She has the same problem that Wattson and Caustic have. In a game like Apex Legends, a game where movement makes up a large part of the game, it's hard to play well when you bunker down because your entire ability to play slows down a lot. While she has some nice changes recently, Mobile Sheila is also really cool, but the spin up is super slow, and if you're going up against someone that can hold a controller, you will probably lose that battle. One of the best things about Rampart is her shields. Not many people know, and most forget, that Rampart gets a dangerous boost when shooting through the shields. Bundle this with the amount of choke points on the map, I think Rampart has earned her spot very nicely in the C tier, but on a good day I could probably put her in B tier, but for now I'm going to be putting her in the C tier. Mirage is awesome. I spoke badly about him through seasons 1 to 10. I have never played him before until season 10 when I finally gave him a shot. He is very strong on this map. There's a lot of hiding spots to revive, a lot of open areas to bamboozle people. Ultimate can be a pain considering fighting in the enclosed buildings, or even behind rocks or top of cliffs. Mirage finds himself in a bit of a predicament because he still stands as the best 1v1 legend, but he doesn't bring anything specifically to the team when you take into consideration of his abilities. I always say, would you rather have a Mirage when you could have a Gibraltar Dome, when you could have a Lifeline Revive, when you could have Valk's Escape? So with that in mind, I'm going to be giving Mirage a B. Let's talk Scottish, let's talk red-headed. Let's talk about the most OP legend on release that came out, more so than Seer in my opinion. Horizon. She is super good this season. As a legend with the most movement capacity, she is overwhelmingly hard to play against on this new map, but she's also incredibly fun to play on this map. She can get to the high ground in a matter of seconds. She can slide down all the hills and jump around like the bunny she is. Her black hole is really strong, as all the choke holes can be devastating to the enemy teams. So with all this, I'm going to be putting the Scottish legend Horizon in A tier. Pathfinder hasn't felt the same since his Season 5 patch, the disaster that was the grapple killer. If Pathfinder remained the same, on this map he would be in the S tier, without looking at any other abilities. But alas, his grapple has had an incredibly strong nerf and has now got a very long cooldown. Ultimate wise, it's very good, allows you to get to hard to reach places. However, I feel like he falls short to legends like Octane, Ashe, Wraith, as it's pretty easy to shoot someone off a zipline. You can also destroy a jump pad after using it so the enemies can't chase you. I always thought Pathfinder should be able to cut his zipline so the enemies can't use it, considering he has a very useless passive as well. Because of all this, I'm going to be putting our favourite robot in the C tier. The hardest legend to use in my opinion is Crypto, and that translates to his tier ranking that I'm going to give him. I think Crypto has been completely forgotten about, and I don't know what changes we could see that will help him, unfortunately. Some of the changes mentioned are too OP, some of them aren't even worth the hassle. When a good Crypto shows up, it's devastating. I just feel like I haven't been scared of a Crypto in my Apex Legends career. The open planes, the easy targets, Crypto's drone is just not as good as it should be. It's very easy to shoot down because of the open space. And it's stupid to take Crypto over, say, Seer or Bloodhound. So for that, he's going to go into E tier. Now Thea, someone whose terrible release will stick around like a bad smell. Thea has fallen off massively, dropping down to just under 3% pick rate. He is still incredibly strong, but because his ultimate can be easily destroyed and because of the map being so big, his passive is just not as good as the smaller maps. But to be honest, with this being said, it feels like a lot of the legends in Apex Legends, their abilities, they just, fall short because the map is so large. His tactical is still strong, but we are seeing a lot more long distance fights, which does however make his heartbeat tracker kind of useless. So for all of that, I'm putting Seer in the C tier. Next up we have Wraith, aka Bald Wraith, aka Ghost Girl, aka TTV Wraith, aka Ashe before she got cool. I'll be honest with you, I probably have about 4 kills on Wraith. I have never given her the time of day to properly learn, hence why I have never done a guide on her before. So with this, I'm putting my ego aside and giving her a complete unbiased opinion. She is a great legend for solo players, and although she has a similar ability to Ashe, she has the option to snake around with it, whereas Ashe can only go in one direction. The good thing about Wraith is her tactical. That's the thing that separates her from Ashe and makes her a little bit more stronger as a solo legend. However, her reputation taints Wraith. A lot of the time when I and others see a Wraith on my team, it's normally a 50-50 good and bad thing. So for that reputation tarnish, I'll be putting a Wraith into the A tier. Watson is a weird one. In Season 11, we only had one legend chained, and that was Watson, which I've made a video on, but what I do really think of her buff, to be honest with you, I don't see the benefits. Watson, similar to Rampart, it means you have to sit and stay in one place, which is relatively difficult on such a large map. And people have got a lot better at aiming, which means they can shoot Watson's pylons very quickly and without problems. When you put Watson in a position where she can thrive, i.e. inside a building, she's very strong. However, you have to ask yourself, how really common is this? Even with Watson's buff, I'm sad to say I'm still going to be putting her in C tier. We now have one of the most infuriating legends, Lifeline. While she's a really good legend, not many people play her correctly. Good Lifelines would put her in the A tier. Because it's always a gamble which kind of Lifeline you will get, it might drag her down a little bit. Lifeline is a defensive legend, but most people play her mildly aggressive. Her ultimate is really good for late game if you need to revive someone. However, I always wanted her to be able to revive people with her own care package. I think this would be a great buff for her. Reviving someone with the ability to still attack and defend is really good, but feel she's in an empty shell of who she was when she had her shield to cover the res. So for the reputation and the shieldless legend, I'll be putting Lifeline in the B tier. One of my favourite legends, Octane. This map, he dominates. Whether that's jump padding his team, stimming to get away, ratting to the final circle, or just to confuse the enemy with the constant looping. Due to the map size and the amount of fighting that goes on, because of Ash's passive, Octane allows you to get into these fights pretty quickly, but also out of the fight pretty quickly. But with that being said, if Octane's in a fight already, his abilities aren't as strong as others. His stim is pretty useless. His jump pads, whilst useful, there are others that are better. For example, I would rather have Ash's escape over Octane's. So with that in mind, I'm going to be putting Octane in the A tier. I was worried to do this one. Caustic. This is the one I think I'm going to get a lot of hate from. If you know me, you know my hatred for Caustic. You know I can't stand Caustic. I think he is useless in 95% of Apex Legends. I know he's had his buffs this season, and good ones at that. I'm not going to discredit that. I just think he struggles in such an open map, and is only good when you're in tight situations, which don't really happen often. The map, as you guys know, is a lot of open grounds, but to be honest, at the beginning of the drops, it's only when Caustic's incredibly strong. We do have a lot of POIs and they are pretty squashed together, but it doesn't excuse the fact that, in my opinion, Caustic is useless more often than not. So while you can play him, why would you? Caustic goes into the F tier. I'm really sorry guys, don't hate me. Finally, we have the new Season 11 Ashe. A real force to be reckoned with. Not only is she a walking GPS, she also has a hell of a tactical, which I don't think gets talked about enough. Her arc snare is really good as you can throw it across the map, which I love doing, by the way, a little cheeky trick shot, taking me back to my Call of Duty days as a kid, but also in buildings to keep people in place. I have yet to catch a Valkynair skydive ultimate like we saw in the trailers, but I think that's a bit harder than it looks. The reason for my tier choice for Ashe is her ultimate. It can be used in so many different ways, it's pretty scary. Whether that's getting into position to defend, using it to escape, or using it to get into a building to finish off a fight between two teams. You can use it to jump in and out of gravity cannons, jump through windows, jump over rampart shields and destroy the team camping inside. So for all of this, I'm going to be putting Ashe in the S tier. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, something a bit different from me. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Consider dropping a like if you like it, subscribe if you subscribe it. I really enjoyed making this, so expect more to come.